Jake Morrison walked through the long metal halls of Harmony Prime Station. His boots made soft sounds on the floor as he moved toward the council room. Other alien beings passed by him, some floating, some walking on four legs, others sliding along the walls. None of them paid much attention to the human in his simple blue uniform. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 3 years now. Every month, representatives from across the galaxy gathered here to discuss trade, disputes, and politics. As Earth's representative, Jake always sat in the back corner, rarely speaking unless someone asked him a direct question. The council room was huge, with seats arranged in circles around a central platform. Jake found his usual spot and sat down. Around him, the powerful species of the galaxy took their places. The Zephyrians were tall, scaly creatures with sharp teeth and claws. Their leader, War Marshal Krieg, always wore armor covered in metals from his many victories. The crystalline beings looked like living diamonds, their bodies catching and reflecting light as they moved. They spoke in musical tones that sounded beautiful but carried hints of superiority. War Marshal Krieg noticed Jake settling into his seat and laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the room. "Look, the little human is here again," he said loudly. "Tell me, Morrison, how many ships does your pathetic fleet have now? Still just 50 old patrol boats?" Other aliens turned to look, and many began to chuckle. Jake kept his face calm and answered simply, "We have enough ships for our needs, War Marshal." "Enough for your needs," Krieg repeated, slapping his knee. "What needs, carrying grain between your few little colonies? My single battle cruiser could destroy your entire fleet before lunch." The crystalline representative, who called himself Resonance Prime, added his musical voice to the conversation. "Humans are fascinating specimens. Their world is remarkably hostile, yet they seem to have developed no significant combat capabilities. Most curious indeed." Jake said nothing. He had learned long ago that arguing with these beings only made them laugh harder. Instead, he pulled out his datapad and began reviewing reports from Earth's colonies. The numbers showed steady growth in population, successful harvests, and peaceful trade agreements with smaller species. Everything looked normal and boring, exactly as Earth's government wanted it to appear. Dr. Lisa Carter was having a very different kind of day in the science section of Harmony Prime. She worked in a lab with alien researchers, studying different species and their abilities. Today, she was reviewing test results from human volunteers who had agreed to physical examinations. "These results cannot be correct," said Dr. Vex, a thin alien with 6 arms and large black eyes. "According to this data, humans can survive injuries that would kill most galactic species. They also seem to function normally under stress levels that would cause complete mental breakdown in other beings." Lisa looked at the numbers on her screen. The tests showed that human heart rates could increase to levels that should cause cardiac arrest in other species. Yet humans not only survived but performed better under these conditions. Their muscle density was 3 times higher than similar-sized aliens. Their bone structure could withstand impacts that would shatter the skeletons of beings twice their size. "The data is correct," Lisa said carefully. "Humans evolved on a world with high gravity, dangerous weather, and many predators. We had to become tough to survive." Dr. Vex made a note on his pad. "Yes, we know Earth is what you call a death world, but most species from such worlds develop thick armor or natural weapons. Humans developed something different. Enhanced endurance, rapid healing, and remarkable stress tolerance. Very unusual evolutionary path." Lisa nodded but didn't mention the other test results she had seen. The classified files that showed human reaction times were faster than any known species, that their pattern recognition abilities exceeded advanced computer systems, and that their capacity for strategic thinking was beyond anything the galaxy had ever encountered. Captain Steve Davis stood on the bridge of the ESV Defiant Humanity's flagship. Through the large window he could see the peaceful blue and green planet of New Haven, one of Earth's outer colonies. His crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring space traffic and running routine patrols. "Captain," called out Kate Phillips from the tactical station. "We're getting a message from command. They want to know our status on the new stealth systems." Steve walked over to her station and read the message on her screen. Earth Command was asking for updates on systems that officially didn't exist. The Defiant appeared to other species as a simple patrol cruiser with basic weapons and shields. In reality, it carried technology that was decades ahead of anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Tell Command that all special systems are functioning normally and remain undetected, Steve said quietly. Rick Torres looked up from the engineering station. Sir, how much longer do you think we'll have to keep pretending our ships are just cargo haulers with guns attached? Steve considered the question. For 50 years, humanity had carefully maintained the image of a peaceful, technologically inferior species. Every human ship that aliens encountered was deliberately outdated. Every weapon demonstration was carefully calculated to appear weak. Every diplomatic encounter was designed to reinforce the idea that humans were harmless. As long as it takes, Rick, Command knows what they're doing. Kate Phillips pulled up another display on her screen. Sir, I'm tracking movement from the Draconian hegemony. Looks like they're moving 3 battle groups toward the outer rim. The Draconians were the galaxy's most aggressive empire. They had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved entire species. Their military was feared throughout known space, and even the powerful Zephyrians avoided direct conflict with them. Keep monitoring them, Steve ordered, and send a coded message to Earth Command. They'll want to know about Draconian fleet movements. As the day continued, reports came in from across human space. Everything appeared normal. Trade ships moved between colonies carrying grain, manufactured goods, and scientific equipment. Small patrol fleets conducted routine sweeps of shipping lanes. Diplomatic messages flowed between Earth and other worlds, discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges. But beneath this peaceful surface, another network operated in complete secrecy. Hidden bases tracked every ship movement in the galaxy. Advanced sensor arrays monitored alien communications. Deep space facilities that appeared to be mining operations were actually military shipyards producing vessels that no alien species had ever seen. Jake Morrison finished his day at the council meeting by listening to War Marshal Krieg demand that humanity provide tribute to stronger species for protection. The other council members nodded in agreement, seeing this as reasonable. Humans were weak, they reasoned, and weak species should pay stronger ones for safety. Jake made polite responses and promised to relay the message to Earth's government. Inside, he felt a familiar mixture of amusement and pity. These aliens had convinced themselves that they understood humanity based on what they could see. They had no idea what was really waiting in the darkness of space, patient and hidden, ready to act when the time came. That evening, as Jake prepared his report for Earth Command, he wondered how much longer the peaceful facade could last. The galaxy's bullies were getting bolder, and humanity's restraint was being tested more each day. Soon, he suspected, the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped pretending to be something else. Jake Morrison stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. Around him, representatives from dozens of species waited to hear humanity's response to their demands. The air felt thick with tension, though most of the aliens seemed more amused than concerned. War Marshal Krieg leaned forward in his chair, his scales gleaming under the bright lights. Well, human, what does your little Earth government say about our reasonable request? Will you give us the 3 colonies we asked for? Jake looked around the room slowly. He had practiced this moment many times, but now that it was here, he felt strangely calm. The Earth government has carefully considered your request, he said in a clear voice. We respectfully decline. The room fell silent for a moment. Then Krieg began to laugh, a harsh sound that filled the chamber. Other aliens joined in, their various forms of laughter creating a chorus of mockery. Decline. Krieg stood up, his full height making him tower over Jake. You decline. Do you understand what we are offering you, little human? We are offering to protect your colonies from other threats. All we ask is that you give us 3 small worlds as payment. This is generous. Jake remained calm. We understand your offer, War Marshal. However, we must also inform this council that any aggressive action against human colonies will be met with appropriate response. This time the laughter was even louder. The crystalline representative, Resonance Prime, spoke in his musical voice. Appropriate response? What response could humans possibly make? Your entire fleet could not stand against a single draconian battle group. Perhaps, Jake said simply, but that is our position. Krieg slammed his clawed fist on his desk. You dare to threaten us? You pathetic creatures should be grateful we offer protection, instead of simply taking what we want. We are not threatening anyone, Jake replied. We are simply stating our policy. Earth does not surrender territory under threat. We have warned you of our position. What you do with that warning is your choice. Dr. Lisa Carter watched the council meeting from the observation deck above the main chamber. She had been studying classified files for weeks now, trying to understand why Earth's government was so confident in their position. The data she had found was disturbing. According to the files, human military capabilities were far beyond what any alien species suspected. Earth's visible fleet was just a tiny fraction of their actual forces. The real military was hidden in deep space in asteroid fields and in facilities that no alien survey had ever detected. But the most shocking discovery was about humans themselves. The evolutionary data showed that humans were natural-born predators, evolved from pack hunters on a world so dangerous that survival required constant vigilance and cooperation. Their physical capabilities were impressive, but their mental abilities were what made them truly dangerous. Human brains processed information faster than any known species. They could recognize patterns and develop strategies in ways that other beings found impossible. They worked together in groups with a level of coordination that alien species could barely comprehend. Lisa realized with growing horror that humanity had been hiding their true nature for 50 years. They had deliberately appeared weak and peaceful while secretly preparing for the day when they would need to defend themselves. On Earth, President Amy Collins sat in the secure briefing room deep beneath the Capitol building. Around the table sat the most powerful people in human space, though most of the galaxy had never heard their names. The Draconians are mobilizing, reported General Paul Ryan, head of Strategic Command. Our deep space sensors show 3 battle fleets moving toward human territory. They're not trying to hide their intentions. Admiral Beth Stone, commander of the Deep Strike Fleet, looked at the data on her screen. How many ships are we talking about? 200 combat vessels, Ryan answered, including their flagship, the Omega Prime. It's their newest destroyer equipped with their most advanced weapons. President Collins nodded slowly. And Admiral Zeroth is commanding? Yes, ma'am. He's the one who destroyed the Centauri colonies last year. The Draconians are sending their best because they want to make an example of us. Admiral Stone smiled grimly. Well, they'll certainly make an example. Just not the kind they're planning. The president looked around the table. Gentlemen, ladies, we've maintained our peaceful facade for 50 years. We've avoided conflict, built our strength in secret, and hoped that diplomacy would be enough. It appears that time has ended. General Ryan pulled up another display. All black sites are operational. The hidden fleets are ready for deployment. Our stealth systems remain undetected. The aliens still believe we have only 50 patrol ships. What about civilian casualties? Asked Dr. Helen Barnes, the Secretary of Defense. Minimal, Admiral Stone replied. Most of our outer colonies have been evacuated to underground shelters. The people there know this day might come. They're prepared. President Collins stood up. Very well. Send the authorization codes to all fleet commanders. Activate Protocol 7. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Captain Steve Davis received the sealed orders while the Defiant was patrolling near New Haven Colony. He opened the message in his private cabin, away from the bridge crew. The orders were simple and direct. Protocol 7 is now active. Reveal true capabilities. Defend human territory with all available force. Steve felt a mixture of relief and concern. Relief because the long charade was finally over. Concern because the galaxy was about to learn something that would change everything. He returned to the bridge and called his senior officers to a private meeting. Kate Phillips, Rick Torres, and Sam Hughes gathered around the tactical display. "We just received orders from Earth Command," Steve began. "Protocol 7 is now active." The three officers exchanged glances. They had known this day would come, but it still felt surreal. "All of it, sir?" asked Kate. "Full deployment?" "Everything. Stealth systems, real weapons, the hidden fleets. The Draconians are coming, and Command has decided it's time to stop pretending." Rick Torres grinned. "About time. I was getting tired of making our engines look like they were about to break down." Sam Hughes was more serious. "Sir, once we reveal our true capabilities, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Steve nodded. "I know. But the alternative is letting the Draconians enslave our colonies. Earth Command has made their decision." Across human space, similar conversations were taking place on dozens of ships. Captains opened sealed orders and briefed their crews. Engineers prepared systems that had been hidden for decades. Tactical officers checked weapons that aliens had never seen. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, massive space stations began to move. What had appeared to be mining operations revealed themselves as military bases. Hundreds of ships emerged from hidden bays, their sleek designs unlike anything in the known galaxy. The Draconian fleet jumped into human space expecting to find a few frightened colonists and outdated patrol ships. Instead, they found something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Admiral Zeroth stood on the bridge of the Omega Prime as his fleet emerged from hyperspace near the New Haven system. "Scan for human vessels," he ordered. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "I'm detecting multiple energy signatures. They're not matching any known ship designs." Zeroth frowned. "Explain." "The energy readings are far beyond anything humans should possess." "And sir, there are a lot more ships than intelligence reported." As the Draconian fleet moved into the system, their sensors began to paint a picture that made no sense. Where they expected to find a dozen human patrol ships, they detected 60 unknown vessels with energy signatures that exceeded their own fleet's combined output. "This is impossible," Zeroth muttered. "Humans don't have this kind of technology." His communication officer interrupted. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. It's on all frequencies." "Put it through." Captain Steve Davis appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the bridge of the Defiant looked nothing like the simple patrol ship the Draconians expected. Advanced displays showed tactical information that exceeded anything in Draconian technology. "Admiral Zeroth," Steve said calmly, "I am Captain Davis of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw from human space immediately." Zeroth laughed. "You order me? Human? You are facing the third battle fleet of the Draconian hegemony. Surrender now and your deaths will..." "Be quick." Steve's expression didn't change. "Admiral, you were warned. We told your government that aggressive action against human colonies would be met with appropriate response. This is your last chance to withdraw." "Never," Zeroth snarled. "All ships attack formation. Let's show these humans what real military power looks like." As the Draconian fleet began to advance, Steve turned to his tactical officer. "Kate, signal all ships. Remove stealth systems. Show them what they're really facing." Across the human fleet, ships that had been nearly invisible suddenly blazed with energy signatures. Advanced weapon systems came online. Shields that far exceeded galactic standards activated. The Draconians realized too late that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans hadn't been hiding their weakness. They had been hiding their strength. Admiral Zeroth stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The energy readings from the human ships were impossible. His sensors showed weapon signatures that exceeded anything in the Draconian arsenal. Shield generators that produced defensive fields stronger than anything his empire had ever built. "This cannot be real," he said to his tactical officer. "Run another scan. There must be an error." "Sir, I've run the scans 5 times. The readings are consistent. The human ships they're more advanced than ours." Zeroth felt a cold fear creeping up his spine. The Draconian hegemony had conquered half the galaxy through superior military technology. Their ships were the most powerful in known space. No species had ever matched them in direct combat. All ships, prepare for battle, Zeroth ordered. Target, their flagship. We'll destroy their command ship first. Captain Steve Davis watched the Draconian fleet moving into attack formation. Around him, his bridge crew worked with calm precision. This was the moment they had trained for but hoped would never come. Draconian fleet is targeting us, sir, reported Kate Phillips from the tactical station. Their main guns are charging. Signal, all ships, Steve said quietly. Engage when ready. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Show them what real military power looks like. The space around New Haven Colony erupted into violence. The Draconian fleet opened fire first, sending streams of energy toward the human ships. The alien weapons were powerful enough to crack planets, designed to terrify enemies into surrender. The human shields absorbed the attacks without even flickering. Direct hit on our shields, Kate reported. No damage detected. Shield strength at 100%. Steve nodded. Return fire. Target their weapon systems first. Disable, don't destroy. We want survivors to tell others what they saw here. The human response was swift and precise. Beams of coherent energy lanced out from the Earth ships, striking the Draconian vessels with surgical accuracy. Weapon arrays exploded. Shield generators overloaded. Engine systems went offline. But what terrified the Draconian crews most was the coordination. The human ships moved like parts of a single organism, each vessel anticipating the other's actions. They flowed around the battlefield with impossible grace, their formation shifting and adapting faster than Draconian computers could track. How are they doing this? Zeroth demanded. Their coordination is beyond anything we've seen. His communication officer looked up from his station. Sir, our intelligence reports show that humans evolved as pack hunters. They may have natural abilities for group coordination that exceed our understanding. Rick Torres monitored the battle from his engineering station aboard the Defiant. The ship's true capabilities were finally being revealed, and the results were exactly what Earth Command had predicted. Captain, he called out, the Newton's Laws is requesting permission to demonstrate the kinetic bombardment system. Steve considered the request. The kinetic weapons were humanity's most closely guarded secret. Projectiles fired at significant fractions of light speed, capable of destroying entire fleets with a single shot. Negative, Steve decided. We're already overwhelming them. No need to reveal everything today. The battle continued for 20 minutes. 20 minutes that changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Draconian Third Battle Fleet, the pride of their empire, was systematically dismantled by ships they had believed were primitive patrol boats. Lieutenant Commander Sam Hughes coordinated the capture operations. Human boarding parties, wearing armor that made them look like mechanical monsters, moved through disabled Draconian ships. They secured key personnel and gathered intelligence while medical teams treated the wounded. The Draconian soldiers were shocked by what they saw. The humans moved through their ships with impossible speed and precision. They seemed to know exactly where to go and what to do, as if they had studied Draconian ship designs for years. They have been watching us, one captured Draconian officer told his interrogators. They know our ships better than we do. Admiral Zeroth found himself trapped on his flagship as human soldiers surrounded him. His proud vessel, the Omega Prime, was dead in space. Half his crew was unconscious from neural stunners. The other half had surrendered when they realized resistance was hopeless. A human officer approached him. The alien was tall and moved with predatory grace. Behind the helmet visor, Zeroth could see intelligent eyes that seemed to look right through him. Admiral Zeroth, the human said in perfect Draconian. I am Commander Janet Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. You are now a prisoner of war. This is impossible, Zeroth whispered. Your species is primitive. You have no real military. How did you hide all of this? Janet removed her helmet, revealing a face that was calm but deadly serious. We didn't hide anything, Admiral. We simply chose not to use it. There's a difference. On Earth, President Amy Collins watched the battle, reports with mixed emotions. The military victory was complete, but she knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Dr. Lisa Carter stood beside her in the command center, analyzing the psychological profiles of the captured Draconian crew. The data was fascinating and terrifying. "Madam President," Lisa said, "the captured Draconians are exhibiting signs of severe psychological trauma. They keep saying that humans are unnatural and impossible. I think we may have broken something fundamental in their understanding of the galaxy." General Paul Ryan joined them at the main display. "The battle recordings are already spreading through alien communication networks. Every species in the galaxy will know about this within days." President Collins nodded. "And what will they think when they see those recordings?" "They'll realize that humans have been deliberately hiding our capabilities for 50 years, Ryan replied. "They'll understand that every interaction they've had with us was carefully managed to make us appear weak." Admiral Beth Stone's voice came through the communication system from her flagship. "Madam President, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 other Draconian fleets. Word of the battle has reached their high command. They're requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations." The President smiled grimly. "Tell them we'll consider their request. But first, they need to withdraw all forces from human space and release any prisoners they've taken from other species." Dr. Carter pulled up another display showing intelligence reports from across the galaxy. "Madam President, we're getting reactions from other major powers. The Zephyrians have recalled all their fleets to home territory. The Crystalline Collective has sent diplomatic messages expressing renewed interest in human friendship. Everyone is scared." The truth was spreading through the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. Species that had dismissed humans as weak were suddenly reviewing everything they thought they knew. The small, peaceful creatures from the death world called Earth were not what they appeared to be. Jake Morrison received an emergency message at Harmony Prime Station. The Galactic Council was calling an emergency session. Every major species wanted answers. How had humanity hidden such massive military capabilities? What else were they hiding? And most importantly, what did humans plan to do with their revealed power? As Jake prepared for what would likely be the most important council meeting in galactic history, he thought about the message he would deliver. For 50 years, humanity had chosen restraint over conquest, peace over domination. They had used their intelligence and patience instead of their weapons, but the galaxy had mistaken their choice for weakness. The bullies and conquerors had pushed too far, demanded too much, threatened too many innocent people. Now they would learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped holding back. The age of human restraint was over. The question was, what kind of galaxy would emerge from the ashes of the old assumptions? Captain Steve Davis stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking out at the debris field that had once been the pride of the Draconian fleet. His crew worked quietly, processing the aftermath of humanity's first open military action in 50 years. "Sir," Kate Phillips called from her station, "we're receiving messages from colonies throughout human space. They're asking if it's safe to come out of the shelters." Steve considered the question. The immediate threat was over, but everything had changed. Humanity had revealed themselves to be the apex predators of the galaxy. There would be consequences, both good and bad. "Tell them they can come out," Steve decided. "But also tell them that nothing will ever be the same again. The galaxy knows what we are now. We can't go back to pretending to be something else." As the human fleet began rescue operations and cleanup, news of the battle spread to every corner of known space. The galaxy was about to learn that the quiet, peaceful humans had been the most dangerous species in the galaxy all along. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in the organization's history. Representatives from every major species had arrived at Harmony Prime within hours of receiving news about the Draconian defeat. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy as beings who had once felt secure in their power now faced an uncertain future. War Marshal Krieg paced back and forth in front of his seat, his scales darker than usual. The proud Zephyrian warrior looked like he had aged, years in a single day. Around him, other representatives whispered in their native languages, sharing fears and theories about what the human victory meant. Jake Morrison entered the chamber and walked to his usual seat in the back. But this time, every eye in the room followed him. The quiet human who had sat silently through countless meetings was now the most important person in the galaxy. "Morrison," Krieg called out, his voice shaking slightly. "We demand an explanation. How did your species hide such massive military capabilities from us?" Jake looked around the room calmly. For the first time in years, he didn't need to pretend to be weak or harmless. The mask was off, and the truth could finally be told. "You never asked the right questions," Jake said simply. "You saw our patrol fleets and assumed that was all we had. You watched our peaceful behavior and decided it meant we were weak. You never wondered why a species would choose restraint when they had overwhelming advantage." The crystalline representative, Resonance Prime, spoke in trembling musical tones. "But your ships, your technology, where did it come from? Our intelligence services monitored your development for decades. You monitored what we allowed you to see," Jake replied. "Every human ship you encountered was deliberately outdated. Every weapon demonstration was carefully planned to appear inferior. Every diplomatic meeting was designed to reinforce your assumptions about our capabilities." Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward from the observation area. She had been given permission to address the council directly, something that would have been unthinkable just days before. "If I may," Lisa said, "I can explain the biological aspects of what you witnessed." The council members turned their attention to her. Lisa activated a holographic display that showed comparative data between humans and other galactic species. "Humans evolved on what we classify as a Class 12 death world," she began. "Earth is a planet where everything tries to kill you. The gravity is higher than most worlds can support life. The weather patterns are violent and unpredictable. The native life forms are aggressive predators." The display showed images of Earth's environments: hurricanes that could level cities, earthquakes that could split continents, volcanoes that could change global climate, predators that hunted in coordinated groups. "Most species that evolve on such worlds develop thick armor or natural weapons," Lisa continued. "Humans developed something different. We became endurance hunters. We learned to work together in groups. We developed the ability to think strategically and adapt quickly to changing situations." War Marshal Krieg interrupted. "But your physical capabilities, how did we miss them?" Lisa smiled grimly. "Because you tested us in controlled environments. You never saw humans under real stress. When humans face life or death situations, our bodies produce chemicals that increase our strength, speed, and reflexes. Our pain tolerance increases dramatically. Our thinking becomes faster and more focused." She pulled up medical data from the recent battle. During the fight with the Draconian fleet, human crew members were operating at stress levels that would kill most galactic species. Not only did they survive, they performed better than under normal conditions. A new voice joined the conversation as a holographic image appeared above the central platform. Colonel Ryan Mitchell, Earth's chief military strategist, addressed the council from a location they didn't recognize. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," Ryan began. "I am speaking to you from Strategic Command Center 7, one of 43 such facilities that your intelligence services never detected." The background behind Ryan showed massive displays, tracking ship movements across the galaxy. Thousands of data points representing spacecraft, space stations, and military installations that the Council had never known existed. "For 50 years, Ryan continued, humanity has maintained the most extensive intelligence network in galactic history. We know the location of every military base, every fleet movement, every weapons development project of every major species." Fang gestured to the displays behind him. "We know that the Zephyrian Empire has been secretly developing biological weapons. We know that the Crystalline Collective has been experimenting with mind control technology. We know about the draconian slave camps on the outer rim worlds." The council members looked at each other in shock and fear. Their deepest secrets, the ones they thought were hidden from the galaxy, were apparently common knowledge to humanity. "How?" whispered Krieg. "How did you penetrate our security?" Ryan smiled coldly. "Because you never considered us a threat. Your security was designed to stop other major powers, not primitive humans. Our agents have been working in your governments, your militaries, your research facilities for decades. President Amy Collins appeared on another holographic display, speaking from Earth's capital. The planetary defense grid was visible through the windows behind her, massive orbital platforms that no alien survey had ever detected. Members of the Galactic Council, the president said, "I believe it's time you learned the full truth about humanity's place in this galaxy." She activated a galaxy-wide display that showed the true extent of human presence in space. Red dots appeared across the star map, each one representing a human installation that the galaxy had never known about. "What you see here are our actual territories," President Collins explained. "Not the few colonies you knew about, but our real expansion over the past 50 years. We have settlements in 47 star systems. We have mining operations in asteroid belts you believed were empty. We have research stations in nebulae you thought were too dangerous to explore." The numbers were staggering. The galaxy had believed humanity controlled perhaps a dozen worlds. The reality was closer to 200 inhabited installations, hidden throughout known space and beyond. "But the most important revelation," the president continued, "concerns our population figures." The display showed demographic data that made several council members gasp in shock. The galaxy believed Earth housed 10 billion humans. Our actual population, across all our hidden colonies and space habitats, is 51 billion. We are not a small species struggling to survive. We are the largest single population in the galaxy. Dr. Carter stepped forward again. "This brings us to the most important biological fact about humans. We are pack hunters who evolved to cooperate on massive scales. While most species can coordinate groups of hundreds or thousands, humans routinely organize populations in the millions and billions." She showed tactical analyses of the recent battle. "What you witnessed was not advanced technology defeating inferior technology. What you saw was a coordinated effort by billions of humans working together with a level of organization that other species cannot achieve." War Marshal Krieg slumped in his seat. "You mean the battle was not won by better ships or weapons?" "The ships and weapons helped," Jake Morrison answered. "But the real advantage was coordination. Every human in our fleet, every support crew in our bases, every analyst in our intelligence network was working together as part of a single, unified effort." Colonel Mitchell pulled up another display. "This is why we were able to predict draconian fleet movements days in advance. This is why we knew exactly where to position our forces. This is why our tactics seemed impossible to counter. We were not fighting as individuals, or even as separate crews. We were fighting as a single organism with 50 billion minds contributing to the effort." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had not just hidden advanced technology, they had hidden their entire civilization. Every assumption the galaxy had made about human capabilities, population, territory, and intentions had been carefully crafted illusions. Resonance Prime spoke in barely audible tones. "What do you want from us now? What are your intentions toward the galaxy?" President Collins answered simply. "The same thing we have always wanted: peace, trade, and cooperation. The difference is that now you understand the real balance of power. You know what we are capable of when our restraint reaches its limits." Jake Morrison stood up and looked around the chamber one final time. "For 50 years we chose to appear weak because we believed it would lead to a more peaceful galaxy. We were wrong. Weakness invites aggression. Strength, properly applied, creates stability." He walked toward the exit, then turned back. "The galaxy now knows what humans really are. The question is, what kind of galaxy do you want to build with that knowledge?" As Jake left the chamber, the council members sat in stunned silence. The old order, built on assumptions of human weakness, had collapsed in a single day. A new era was beginning, and none of them knew what it would bring. 3 months after the Draconian War ended, the galaxy looked completely different. The old Galactic Council building on Harmony Prime had been converted into the headquarters of the Terran Accord, a new organization that governed interstellar relations under human protection. Admiral Beth Stone walked through the corridors of her flagship, the ESV Retribution, as it patrolled the major shipping lanes near the galactic core. Her crew monitored communications from dozens of species, tracking trade movements and watching for signs of trouble. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communication station, "we're receiving a distress signal from a Centauri merchant convoy. They're reporting pirate attacks in the Vega system." Beth nodded calmly. "Signal the Norfolk and the Phoenix. Tell them to intercept and provide assistance. Standard anti-piracy protocols. 6 months ago, pirate attacks were common throughout the galaxy. Criminal organizations preyed on weaker species, while major powers ignored the problem, or even secretly, supported the pirates for their own gain. Now human patrols ensured that trade routes were safe for everyone. The pirates had learned quickly that humans didn't negotiate with hostage takers. They rescued the victims and made sure the criminals never threatened anyone again. After a dozen pirate fleets simply vanished without a trace, most criminal organizations decided to find other lines of work. On the bridge of the ESV Norfolk, Captain Tony Rodriguez received the orders and smiled. His crew had been hoping for some action. Life on patrol duty could be boring when everyone behaved themselves. "All hands, this is the captain," Tony announced over the ship's communication system. "We have pirates threatening innocent civilians. You know what to do." The Norfolk and Phoenix jumped to hyperspace, covering the distance to the Vega system in minutes. When they emerged, they found 3 pirate ships surrounding a convoy of Centauri freighters. The pirates immediately tried to flee when they detected the human warships. They had heard the stories about what happened to criminals who fought Earth Defense Force vessels, but human ships were faster and there was nowhere to run. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force," Tony broadcast on all frequencies. "Release your prisoners immediately and prepare to surrender. This is your only warning." The lead pirate ship responded by firing missiles at the Centauri convoy, hoping to force the humans to back down. It was a fatal mistake. The Norfolk's defensive systems intercepted the missiles effortlessly. Return fire from the human ships disabled the pirate vessels in seconds. Boarding parties secured the ships and arrested the crews while medical teams treated the rescued Centauri merchants. Ambassador Karen Wells sat in her office on Harmony Prime, reviewing diplomatic reports from across the galaxy. As Jake Morrison's replacement, she handled relations with species that approached humanity with newfound respect and carefully hidden fear. The changes had been dramatic. The Zephyrian Empire, once the galaxy's most aggressive military power, now sought human approval. Before making any major policy decisions, the Crystalline Collective had offered to share their advanced computing technology in exchange for human protection. Even minor species that had never spoken to humans before were sending diplomatic missions. "Ambassador," said her assistant, "David Chen, the Andromedan delegation has arrived for their appointment." Karen looked up from her reports. The Andromedans were a recently contacted species from outside the galaxy. First contact had been made by human exploration vessels that had secretly been mapping unexplored regions for decades. "Send them in," Karen said. 3 tall, graceful beings entered her office. Their skin had a blue tint and their large eyes showed intelligence and curiosity. They had come seeking membership in the Terran Accord after learning about the protection and benefits it offered. "Ambassador Wells," the lead Andromedan said in accented but clear English, "we bring greetings. From the Andromedan Council of Worlds, we have studied your organization and wish to request consideration for membership." Karen smiled warmly. "We welcome your interest. The Accord is open to all species that commit to peaceful coexistence and mutual cooperation. What can you tell us about your civilization?" The negotiations proceeded smoothly. The Andromedans had advanced medical technology that could benefit many species, while the Accord could offer them protection from aggressive neighbors and access to galactic trade networks. Dr. Lisa Carter worked in her new research facility on Earth, studying the psychological effects of humanity's revelation on other species. The data was fascinating and sometimes disturbing. Many alien civilizations were experiencing what she termed apex predator shock. They had suddenly realized they were sharing the galaxy with a species far more dangerous than they had imagined. Some species reacted with fear and submission. Others became aggressive, trying to prove they weren't weak. A few simply went into denial, refusing to accept the new reality. The most interesting cases, Lisa explained to her research team, are the species that are actually relieved. They spent centuries being afraid of stronger neighbors. Now they know there's someone even stronger watching over them. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Johnson, pulled up psychological profiles from the former Draconian territories. What about the Draconians themselves? How are they adapting? Better than expected, Lisa replied. Without their military dominance, they're actually becoming more cooperative. It turns out that when you remove the ability to solve problems through force, many species discover they're quite good at diplomacy. Captain Steve Davis, now promoted to admiral, commanded the exploration fleet that pushed into uncharted regions of the galaxy. His ships were making first contact with new species almost every month, species that had hidden from the major powers but were willing to meet with humans. Admiral, reported Commander Kate Phillips from the tactical station, long-range sensors are detecting artificial structures in the Kepler 1649 system. Looks like another previously unknown civilization. Steve studied the sensor data. The structures appeared to be space habitats orbiting a red dwarf star. The design was unlike anything in the databases, suggesting this was indeed a new species. Signal, the fleet, Steve ordered. Standard first contact protocols. Remember, we represent not just humanity but the entire Terran Accord now. The human ships approached slowly, broadcasting friendship messages in multiple languages. First contact had become routine for Steve's crews, but they never forgot how important these moments were for the species they encountered. As expected, the aliens were initially fearful. Most species in this region had learned to hide from the major galactic powers, but when they learned about the Terran Accord and the protection it offered, their fear turned to hope. President Amy Collins stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above Earth, looking out at the planet where humanity's journey had begun. The view showed a world at peace, no longer hiding its true nature from the galaxy. "Madam President," said her aide, Colonel Janet Ross, "the latest reports show that piracy is down 97% in Accord-protected space. Trade volume has increased by 400%. We're receiving applications for membership from 12 new species this month." Amy nodded, pleased with the progress. "And the major powers? How are they adapting?" "The Zephyrians have restructured their entire government to focus on scientific research instead of military conquest. The Crystalline Collective is working with our technology teams to develop new communication systems. Even the remaining Draconian worlds are requesting assistance with rebuilding their economies." Amy smiled. "It's amazing what happens when bullies can't get their way through force anymore." The transformation of the galaxy had been faster and more complete than anyone had expected. With humanity serving as the ultimate peacekeepers, smaller species felt safe to emerge from hiding. Trade flourished because shipping lanes were secure. Scientific cooperation increased because species weren't afraid of sharing knowledge with potential enemies. Admiral Steve Davis received a message from one of his exploration ships, the ESV Discovery, commanded by Captain Linda Martinez. They had made contact with a species called the Etherians, who lived in the gas clouds of a distant nebula. "Admiral," Linda reported, "the Etherians want to join the Accord, but they're offering something special. They have technology that can predict stellar events centuries in advance. They're willing to share it to help protect all Accord members from cosmic disasters." Steve smiled. Each new species that joined brought something valuable to the collective. The galaxy was becoming stronger and safer for everyone. Jake Morrison, now serving as Director of Interspecies Relations, reviewed the weekly reports in his office on Earth. The numbers told an incredible story of transformation. Crime rates had plummeted across the galaxy. Wars between species had essentially ended. Scientific advancement was accelerating as species shared knowledge freely. Even problems like poverty and disease were being addressed through cooperative efforts. "Sir," said his assistant Eric Turner, "we're receiving a formal request from the Galactic Historical Society. They want to establish a new timeline marking the beginning of what they're calling the Terran Peace Era." Jake chuckled. "Tell them they can call it whatever they want. What matters is that it's working." He looked out his window at the Earth sky, where Transport S